Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Mr. Elmani S. Viney, coming to you live from way yonder state forest on the border of New Jersey and New York. Sasquatch Trail Runners presents the Wild Goose Trail Festival, and we are Wild Goose After Dark, where we present some of the more deeper and smoother stories of trail running and the trail festival. What happens when the sun goes down? Thank you. And so I would like to start by introducing. Thank you.
If I had my eyes closed, I'd be like all cozy in bed or something.
Exactly. And as you see, we have Shai, our great director, set up our campfire for the evening. And we have a special guest. Actually, we have Hinton, right?
Yep.
Hinton from Scratch. Now, I got to tell you, Scratch has been probably Kim and Sasquatch's most loyal sponsors. They're at every single race. And, of course, you can't say you're a trail runner if you have not used Scratch. I started on Scratch, and I'm always doing Scratch. So it's just the absolute coolest thing. So, Hinton, you've been with Scratch, you've told me, for 4 years. But before we start with Scratch, what is your involvement and your experience with trail running?
Oh, man. That's a great question. So I'm definitely fairly new to trail running.
Okay.
Probably been doing it for about 4 years now. But I came from the long-distance hiking side of things.
Okay.
So I did a lot of backpacking, a lot of through hiking after college, and basically had to sit down and be like, hey, I can't take 5 months off at a time anymore. I got to get a job. I got to buy a house. I got to do all the normal adult things.
Right.
So I tried best to find something that I could still enjoy the outdoors with, but in a more kind of condensed timeline. So I got into trail running just because I can get out on like those long spurts, those long mile days.
Right.
But in an afternoon or in a morning and still be home to have a day job, to hang out with my now fiance, play with my dog. So yeah,
Congratulations. How
definitely.
long ago
Thank
did
you.
you propose?
It's less than a year now, but
okay.
I've been dating. I don't know if Amanda's watching this. Hey, Amanda. But we've known each other for a very long time. We've been dating for about 10 years now,
Okay.
and we're finally getting married in October.
In October. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And, when I see you again, I'll welcome you to the fraternity of marriage, and then I'll pray for you.
Thank you.
know,
I appreciate that.
23-year veteran right here.
There we go. What's the secret?
I know she's watching. So let me say this. Say yes.
Say yes?
Just say yes. Whatever she just say yes.
Okay.
And that just saves you your hair, your blood pressure.
Yeah.
just say yes.
Happy wife, happy life,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
That's it.
Even when we're let me stop.
Yeah. Let's switch the topic here.
We're gonna switch topics. Okay. We're gonna switch. This is about trail running, not marriage. Okay.
Right.
So you got involved with Scratch. Let's talk about the nutrition industry. I do want to talk about that.
This is huge.
I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like when David Roche won the Leadville 100, not even talking about Western States this year. I know he DNF, but I feel like when he won the Leadville 100 and credited to high carb, I swear I felt like that was the inflection point where all of a sudden this entire explosion on a focus on hydration and nutrition just went up. I mean, Scratch has been there. We know that. Tailwind has been there, right? Carbs have been there. But I just felt like that became a tipping point where it's become, if we're being, in my opinion, if I'm being honest, I felt like that this has become the dominant conversation in it.
100%.
What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. So I like to think about this in a couple different ways. First and foremost was this is very reminiscent, or I can compare this best to when marathon times, no one could break a certain marathon time, but
Right.
and then something like super shoes came out.
Right.
And then people were breaking through that barrier. I think high carb fueling, especially in long efforts, is kind of at that point. The one interesting thing about high carb fueling, though, and nutrition in general, is it's so different for so many people.
Okay.
There's no kind of one size fits all, like blanket weight of high carb fuel for people. Some people can handle taking 100, 120 grams of carbs per hour, but the average person, if you pick up 100 grams of carbs and take it down, you're going to get sick. It's going to come out one of the two ends.
Right.
It's just bound to happen. So high carb fueling is super interesting in the fact that it's really beneficial for some people, but it's super detrimental for others. But nutrition's always important, especially at a place like here, like Wild Goose.
Right.
Regardless of the distance that you're doing, it's important to intake carbs. It's important to intake sodium and keep up with that stuff. But as we can see here with the spread that we have at the aid station, it's different for everybody.
Right.
Some people do gels, other people only do real food. So there's kind of a, try to figure out what works for you. Try a bunch of different things. Obviously not on race day.
Right.
Never try anything new on race day, but you have to kind of experiment with what works best.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this, and I want to talk about the novice runner. How does someone navigate through, and it's a concern of mine too, what's real? Like I trust Scratch because you guys have been there before the hype, but there's so many, I think, companies now coming out, and it's the wave of the hype. How does one figure out what do I really need? What's really going to work? And I know you said, everybody has their own physiology, and I totally understand that. But what's really made to work for someone versus companies just doing something to catch the marketing wave, make a buck, but their stuff really does not work?
Yep. Yeah. Another great question. You got to see through a lot of the hype with that stuff, and it's interesting because a lot of people look at somebody like David Roche who takes in all of those carbs in a certain amount of time, and they're like, oh, I can just buy something like SIS beta gels that he uses, and that's going to work for me. And it's not. And there's so many different nutrition brands on the market these days that it does kind of stink that you have to kind of try all these different brands to figure out what works for you. That's where something like, a large online company like The Feed, they offer kind of like sample packs for things. So you can test out and see what works for you. That being said, I think everybody should incorporate some sort of nutrition or fueling strategy into their daily runs, whether it just be eating a gel on like a short afternoon run that you have, or trying to up carb intake or sodium intake on short runs. Doing those small test runs throughout your week leading up to a larger race or during a training block is super important, because that's when you figure out basically what works for you and what doesn't with zero repercussions.
Right.
So being able to kind of figure that out, but also a lot of it is kind of connecting with the company that you use. And that's kind of a reason that I've been working with Scratch for so long, is there's a connection beyond just supplying nutrition products for the athlete. If you go out to, obviously a Sasquatch race, but any race that I've been to that Scratch is present at, we're more than just providing nutritional support. We're there to provide advice. We're there to help you through when you're bonking or having a tough time during the race. So it's kind of more of a community aspect for us as well. It's pretty neat.
It's funny that you say that. I've been to a number of, running and also volunteering. I've been to a number of ultras, and I've seen other companies set up. But I felt like they set up, and I get it, so it's part of the business plan, so I'm not saying it was wrong. But they set up for the purpose of marketing.
Right.
I've seen Scratch, seen you guys. I've seen Scratch set up at, if I'm correct, like her squatchy leftovers.
Yeah.
Like a fun, we're all having fun. There's nothing serious about squatchy leftovers. And I really see you guys digging. What has made Scratch want to take on that mantra right there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all goes back to the creation of the company. Alan and Ian, who first started the company, they worked a lot with Pro Tour cyclists, so people like Lance Armstrong on the Tour de France, and it was really interesting because they were bringing stuff like hydration products to market, but the biggest complaint that they had from their athletes is that all nutrition tasted like cardboard. There was no real flavor to it. It was all just, horrible to drink, horrible to take in, and that's not how eating or taking in nutrition should be. It should be enjoyable.
Right.
You should kind of crave it and want it. But that's kind of what we try to instill here. It's like you're back to what you're saying, marketing type aspect of things. I work for Scratch and Capacity. I'm not a salesperson.
Okay.
I'm just here to have the product and offer it to runners. Some people love it and some people don't like it, and that's completely fine. But it's giving them the ability to try it in a no pressure situation.
Gotcha.
And not like forcing it on somebody, being like, hey, you need to try this, or this will fix all your problems. It's more of a, hey, it's here. I can kind of give you the science behind it, how it will help you.
Right.
Use it if you want. Don't use it if you don't, type deal.
I really like that. Do you think, in your opinion, is this an industry, this part of the industry, the hydration, is this something that will continue to grow, or is there a concern that whether through new research that comes out or something, to whereas people start to backtrack, or we find out taking in too much carbs, taking in too much sugar or whatever, and I'm not talking about Scratch, I'm just talking about the industry in itself, where people start to backtrack or things become too unhealthy, people try to just put things out there on the market, and then we find out later on that was dangerous for you to take. I'm just thoughts on that.
Yeah, oh man, that's a really good question. I think especially with food and nutrition, so like gear, there's always can be innovations in gear, whether it be new materials, but I feel like with food and nutrition specifically, we're probably going to eventually hit a point where we've discovered a lot about what the product can be or what it can contain. But I think what's going to always evolve and always change is what the human body can do.
Right.
People like David Roach, people like Podcar in like the professional cycling space, the amount of carbs that they intake, I feel like there's not really going to be a limit for that. I can see like 2 years down the road, people intaking like 200 grams of carbs.
Wow.
And like figuring out how to dial in that nutrition and give their body that much fuel. There probably is going to be like an innovation standpoint, like we can only fit this many carbs into this amount, or these are the best carbs to intake. This is the best ratio of glucose and fructose. There's probably a kind of a ceiling for that. But I think how you intake it and how much you can intake it, there's probably no limit to the amount of, mixes that you can do there.
Got you. And then what about, how do we keep cost moderate?
Yeah.
I don't think this affects, in my opinion, the hydration world as much as I've seen it in the gels.
Of course.
So, Scratch only deals with hydration. But again, as you're going up, as you're saying now, we're at high carb, 90, in the hydration mixes.
Yep.
Okay. But is there a concern to say, hey, are we going to price out the normal? I'm a normal day-to-day ultra guy, right?
Yep.
I'm not podium. I love I'm like everybody here. I love coming out, a middle of the pack type of person.
Of course.
And I'm wondering, is that taken in consideration, or is it let's market everything as if we're marketing to the elites in the industry?
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see that there's definitely, especially in running, and this is what I really love about Sasquatch and the fact that they call all the runs a trail party, is you go to a lot of these larger events like Western States or Javelina or Cocodona, and there's kind of like an elitism to a lot of the stuff.
Okay.
There's like the top athletes are using the latest and greatest. They have the best gear on, the most expensive gear on.
Right.
But you can see people who are not sponsored athletes, who are average, middle of the pack runners. They could have a really good race and they could absolutely dominate. So I think it's the same with nutrition too. You can pay a lot of money for a really good gel. Is it better than just kind of mixing your own? You can pay a lot of money for hydration products, but you could just throw salt in a water bottle. So I think consistency-wise, it's probably best to buy packaged products. But I have people like Robert Ivan, who's here, YOLO, who's out running. He buys maltodextrin bulk and makes his own high-carb mix and gels. That works just fine for him. But there are other people out there who don't want to go through that hassle of buying the product to bring the cost down. So I think it's just a ease of access thing and like a simplicity thing. And it's like, hey, I can just go to a store and buy this stuff. But I think even now there are some gels on the market and products on the market that people are completely priced out of. They'll never touch just because it's too expensive. They don't put that much effort into their gear, into their nutrition. So, but there is definitely always a market for it, just like Supreme, right?
The
Some
gel in
people,
the black and white.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you could spend $5. You can spend $9 on it. There are some gels out there that are $9 a sleeve, and
Yeah.
if it works for you, that's great. But man,
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
get paid enough to
to
eat 12 of those during a race.
Yeah, you're like that bill just looks bad.
Yep, 100%.
You know, it's a problem when the gels cost more than a race entry.
Yep, most definitely.
You know.
Most definitely.
So here's my last question for you. Where do you see Scratch for Scratch? Is there anything you can give insight on in terms of either innovation or like partnerships, like their business plan as they look out, especially? And I've been talking about this all day. The reality is, the industry is booming.
Yep.
I read something where I don't know if it's 20 million or 20 billion, but I literally I guess I'm gonna lean towards 20. I don't know. You know, it's either 20 million or 20 billion. You might remember the number that the trail running as an industry.
Oh yeah,
like,
it has to be in the billions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's unreal when we're talking about how small, because within running we're only we're only like 12% of the population of runners, and then it's
Yep.
even smaller once you get the ultra runners.
Yep.
So we're seeing this explosion. I talked about earlier about how at Western States, like on that live stream, 36,000 people, tuned in. I mean, you look at the fact that, hey, we're doing a live stream right here,
Yep.
and this is Sasquatch. So you're seeing the growth of everything. I'm pretty sure, of course, Scratch has their ears to the ground with it. So is there anything you can give insight into in terms of where they're trying to go as this wave is now moving rather quickly?
Yeah, I think one of the best things about Scratch is they're always going to stay a small company.
Okay.
The people who created the company are still with the company, and I know for a fact they're going to stay with the company. And the reason that they like having a small company is because they like being in tune to their customer base.
Okay.
They like knowing who their customers are, and they like developing products for their customer base. So there is a lot of fun stuff coming with Scratch.
Right.
There's additions and expansions on the current product line, new flavors.
Nice.
But we also have some really fun things in production that should be coming out in the middle of 2026
Okay.
that are kind of going to take a lot of these other brands by storm. And Scratch has already been innovative with their high carb fueling.
Okay.
Kim is a big believer in the high carb. A lot of people here love the high carb. We use a different type of sugar molecule in there, which has, done great for a lot of runners. So we're going to expand on that, and we're going to have some really fun things coming. But Scratch is always going to stay small,
Right.
because that's the best way we get product into the hands of the people that we want to succeed. And it's also how we don't become kind of like sellouts in the industry per se.
Amen to that. And as someone that's dedicated to the Sasquatch and Kim and everybody here, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do, how many you have set up. You guys don't come cheap. Like, you don't just bring one little thing. You guys have set up, and we've been out here since 7 a.m. and the barrels are still going. So, man, really, really, absolutely.
We want to give people the best chance possible to succeed at whatever they're doing,
Yep.
especially whether it's running, cycling, anything that you're sweating in. We want to give you the best chance and tools to do it. So we're here to
Beautiful.
support that.
Appreciate you,
Heck
ladies
yeah.
and gentlemen. This is Kenton from Scratch, and he's here. He's gonna be here all night because you gotta get ready to go pace.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out for another round of pacing. So
He's
we're gonna
pacing
go have
a
fun.
71-year-old woman.
Believe so.
All
Yeah.
right, Penny. We see you. We love you, Penny. Come
Yes.
on, get your pacer. All right.
I'm here.
All right. So this is Sasquatch. This is Wild Goose After Dark. I'm your host, Elmani S. Viney. We're out here in beautiful Wayanda State Forest on the border of New Jersey and New York. I'll be back. I think I have one more interview. All right. And we'll be back in a second. Peace.